Hi everyone, I'm Miles.
And Josh here with you.
And we're here to talk to you today about the 6 factors of credit and what really determines why you have a good score and why you don't. A lot of people look at their credit report and they're like, why is my score so low? And there's some pretty big reasons as to why, and there's some very minor reasons as to why you might have a bad score. So we're just here to talk to you today about the 6 factors of credit. If you are a note taker, take notes, because a lot of these topics are going to be in future videos, so make sure you subscribe. One of the things I want to talk to you about is all the high impact stuff. What are the things that can drastically drop your score or raise your score by 100 to 150 points? The first one is the usage. So let's just say I have a credit card here, has a $10,000 limit. And let's say this is my only credit card, hypothetically. If I spend $1,000 on this card, and I let that report to my statement date, and I don't pay it off or anything, then that is 10% of 10,000. Yeah, sorry, I'm saying it all weird.
All good.
So a $10,000 card with $1,000 of spend on it is at 10%. So 10% utilization. So the usage. It's known as usage and utilization, your credit card utilization. How much debt do you have compared to your credit line? So if you have $10,000 of debt, but your credit line is $100,000 across all your cards, then your debt ratio is really low, so you're only using 10%. So if you want to get approved for cards, a lot of people wonder, like, why is my utilization at 99%? You might have one card with $1,000 on it, and you have $990 on it. So bam, your score is going to be dropped up to 100 to 150 points.
Yeah, that's at least 100 points. If you got 90%, please don't have 90% utilization.
And one thing I want to tell you guys is when I started, I only had 2 cards. I'm going to show it to you. I have the City Double Cash and the Capital One Venture. One of them at the time I had a lot of debt on it, and one of them only had $1,000 on it. So my utilization was at 85%, and I was wondering why my score was at 590. That is why. My utilization was so high that no one that would have given me a credit card couldn't trust me. None of the banks could trust me because, like, this guy's in a lot of debt. But all I really need to do was either pay off debt or just increase my credit lines. So there are ways to do that. So that is usage, very high impact. Josh, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, pretty much anything over 9% utilization, that's going to drop your score. Like, I've seen someone go, like, have 10% utilization across, like, $100,000, and their score dropped 45 points. Like, that's how important usage is. This is the #1 thing. So, like, usage will weigh over anything else. And we actually do have a hack that we're going to be teaching you guys on how to use one of the manufactured spending methods, which we're also going to be teaching you guys to hide that if you do have any usage that you're working on getting paid off. We're going to show you how you can actually hide that from the credit bureaus, so it will show up as 0% utilization even though you have it still there. So make sure you do subscribe, because we're going to be coming out with that. That's a very important lesson that we want to make sure you guys see, because it's got lots of value, okay? Let's go ahead, you move it on, take us away.
So the next one, quick thing about usage. Today, I just got my score updated. It bumped up 20 points. I was at about 720, now I'm at 740, because I moved $6,000 from one card to the next. So the statement date was today, so it reported, it's debt free on that card. I moved the debt to another card, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to move the debt back to this card that I have, and the other cards are going to report as 0. And I do that once a month, and I have the statement date split up. So we're going to teach all that later. Make sure you subscribe and keep watching the video. The next thing is payment history. If you miss your payments on a credit card, if you have made a payment and you're 30 days late, that's when they report. So you have a little bit of time.
You got that grace period.
Yeah, you have a 30-day grace period. But if you don't make a payment, you get hit with you get hit with a late payment. So that can drop your score from anywhere from 50 points, 100 points. That is high impact. That's why we got it here. It's just as important as your credit card usage and your utilization. So a lot of times you forget to pay your bills, or it's a card you're not really thinking about, and you don't know, bam, you get a late payment. Late payments are one of the hardest things to remove, actually, when it comes to credit repair. So those are the things you want to stay away from the most. A lot of things are fixable, but late payments are the hardest. It'll take months to remove a late payment. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So payment history is one of those things. You got to make sure you're paying your bills on time, and that's rent. Rent can go hit you on your payment history as well.
Yep.
And the third thing I want to talk to you guys about is derogatory marks. A derogatory mark is when
A derogatory mark is when you have a late payment that you basically do it twice, where or even farther than that, but I've seen it as low as like 60 days late. When you go that far, that means the bank basically just doesn't even think you're going to pay them back, and they're going to send you to a collection agency. And the collection agency is going to report that you have that derogatory mark, and they're going to start pestering you, coming after you to pay them for what you owed originally. So you can't get a derogatory mark unless you have bad payment history. But if you let that keep going, then a derogatory mark, again, that's going to drop your score like another 50 to 100 points at least per derogatory mark. So if you got like 3 or 4 of those, like yeah, you don't have a very good score at that point. That's what you got with derogatory marks. They kind of go hand in hand with payment history.
and derogatory marks is repos, right?
Yeah, repos count as derogatory marks. Like if you bought a motorcycle or you have a car that you didn't pay for, and you were just like, well, you know what, I can't afford it, I'm just going to let it go to collections and let them come repo it. I know people that have literally done that because they didn't want to deal with having to get out of the lease or having to sell the car, so they just let repo come and take it, and they got a derogatory mark, and their score just totally plummeted because of that.
And these are things you got to watch out for, because if you're trying to buy a house or get credit cards for business funding, or you have an idea, you have no way to get funding for anything.
Yeah, no credibility.
No credibility with the banks. You've messed it up. Derogatory marks, like Josh said, repos, bankruptcies even. Bankruptcies take anywhere from 8 to 10 years to get off your report. Repos, it's a fight to get those off. So a lot of those like really crazy things you can get on your report, those are some pretty hard stuff to get off it. But there's always a possibility to remove things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's derogatory marks. Stay away from it. If you can't control yourself with a credit card, don't get one. It's not worth it. But we're teaching you how to utilize credit for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So this may be a topic in the future, so make sure you're subscribed. Credit age. This is medium impact. It's how long have you had credit? If you're on Credit Karma or Experian, it'll say like you're in the most excellent zone if you're over 25 years. But really, there's a secret we're going to share in a little bit. The great credit age to have is over 9 years, and we're going to get into that. But really, if you want a house, business funding, 2 years of credit age, because I can have a card that's 10 years old, this card may be, then my other card may be 1 year old. My age is going to be around 4 or 5 years, because it's all...
Takes your average.
Yeah,
right?
It's all collective, it's an average. So credit age, it's medium impact on your score, and it's a collective. If you have 20 cards you just opened up and one that's 10 years old, you're going to have like 1 year of credit age. So those are just things to think about. You want to take on a lot of credit, you might want to do it over time. I know me and Josh have good habits on how we apply to cards and when to help our credit age. So those are things we're going to be talking about in the future.
Yeah, and one quick little thing that you can do to raise your credit age, because if you're in the position like I was a couple years ago where I only had I have one credit card and it had only been open for like 6 months. Nobody's going to give you anything with that type of credit history, it's just not long enough. Something you can do is if you have any family members or friends that have had a card open for a while, go ahead and ask them if they can add you as an authorized user. That's going to show up on your report. Basically as if you're the owner of that account. They'll know that you're an authorized user, but you'll still get the same amount of credit for that. Just make sure if you do that, you're not getting added onto an account that has high usage or bad payment history, because then that will also be on your account. So you want to make sure if you're getting added on as an authorized user that the person you're being added onto is a responsible person who's paying off their bills every single month 100% down to 0, so they don't have that high usage hurting your credit. You want this, the whole point of it is to help you, not hurt you, okay?
And if they ever have high utilization on a card that you're an authorized user on, that's gonna impact your score in a very negative way.
Absolutely.
So you don't want any of that happening.
Over here you got low impact. This is over here on the smaller side, so like medium impact, this will hurt your score like sometimes anywhere around 20 to 50 points-ish. But these low impact scores, inquiries, this happens every single time you apply for credit. If you applied for a credit card, whether you get approved or denied, you're getting hit with a hard inquiry. Whether if you're going for a car loan, mortgage, things like that, they're always pulling anytime you're actively seeking credit, they're going to pull a hard inquiry. There are also called soft pulls, where they look at your credit report, but it won't show up as an inquiry. So there's a difference there. You got hard pull, which shows on your credit report, and a soft pull, which does not. So anytime someone's trying to pull your report, make sure you ask them, is this going to be a hard pull or a soft pull? Sometimes you don't want to waste giving away a hard pull if you know you're not going to get approved, or it's just like iffy and you're doing like an impulse decision, because this is going to show up on your report. And every inquiry can hurt your score around 5 points. So not huge, but if you got 10 inquiries, that's 50 points. So it really starts to add up over time. You want to make sure you keep these below. They like to see less than 2 at all times. But there are ways to apply for lots of credit cards. Like, how can I have this entire stack of credit cards and only have 4 inquiries on my report? You know, those are the things that we're going to be teaching you in this course. So make sure you guys subscribe so you can learn these methods to be able to get 20 plus credit cards without all of them showing up on your credit report and hurting you.
And another thing we're going to be talking about regarding inquiries, how do you remove an inquiry?
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a house, and when you buy a house or a car, they'll run your credit like 20 times and tank it every single time. How do you get those removed? So me and Josh are doing a video on how to remove inquiries. So keep an eye out for that one.
Subscribe. That's a good one. And then finally, total accounts. This is going to take all of your accounts. It could be loans, student loans, mortgages, cars, credit cards, things like that. Pretty much anything, any account that you have is going to show up. Anything that's not like a checking account or like a savings account is going to show up as your total accounts. They like to see at least like 7 or 10-ish is pretty decent. But once you're up past 21, that's when you're going to get that really, really positive 850 credit score. So if that's a goal for you to get an 850 credit score, you're going to need at least 21 different accounts. So you're going to need to be responsible and learn all of these things, because if you got 21 different credit cards, I mean, I got over 21 credit cards sitting right here. If any one of these had high usage, or I forgot about a payment history, or I got a derogatory mark on it, it's going to ruin my entire score, right? And that's another thing we're going to be teaching in this course, is how to properly manage all of this. I know it can seem very scary and very threatening to have all of this stuff, but it's actually very, very simple to be able to keep track of all of your credit cards. And so that's something we're going to be teaching with you guys throughout all of these lessons, so make sure you subscribe so you learn all of this stuff.